so I'm not being the best YouTuber right now, but we're out here working on the car. We've took it on quite a bit of drives. I've probably put 150 or so miles on it. We got some footage of that. It's kind of hard to get driving footage and talking and everything all by yourself, so we did what we could. We kind of got more rollers than anything, but it's getting somewhere. I was rushing around trying to get it ready after we got back from LS Fest, and I haven't had much time to be behind the camera, but we got a set of Deka 80 injectors, like we said. I ended up finding them from a guy that had a drift car, maxed them out, whatever. He said he made like 700 horse on E85 or something like that on these injectors. So we got a new set of Deka 80 injectors in it. I updated the tune file, and man, she is ripping pretty good. We swapped over the data and everything. I put a wideband in it, and it's a little rich right now for what I think it is. We don't really have the O2 sensor in the proper location. It's literally right at the end of the dumps, which were like right here, these things. Right at the end of that, and it was vice grip to the end, so it was kind of Hoosier, but it worked. Got us close enough. Right now we're on 6 degrees of timing, and it was around 11.5 to 12 when we were making a pull, and there's probably some free air in there, so it's probably a little bit richer than that because it was still a slight haze of black smoke. But we got the fuel regulator cranked up. We got the vacuum line hooked up on there, so it's boost reference now, and so far it's hooking pretty good, and it's running pretty good. But as you can tell, all this soot just comes right back up on the windshield, and it comes right in and right through the cab, so it's drivable. You don't really get a headache driving it. Well, at least I don't, but most of my brain cells are gone. But like, the girlfriend went with a ride with me. She got a little bit of a headache, and you could tell, especially when you're, driving it a little harder. But I'm going to put these downpipes on it. That's what I'm working on right now, and I've only been at this maybe 20 minutes, half hour, and it's looking all right. I like that side over there a ton. This side, I think it's a little bit too high, but we also have to remember this turbo is not sitting right. Everything's shifted that way a little bit. There's bigger of a gap here kind of deal. Everything just laid a lot better on that, which I went by the exhaust guy's shop that usually runs the exhaust for me. These were scrap pieces. He had 3 or 4 straight scrap pieces kind of like those up there, and he's like, well, do you know what angle you need on them? No, I don't. So I told him just to throw some bends in it. That one turned out perfect. That one, I think I need to take it. If you look right down the side of this, which is kind of hard to tell, this one's lower than that one over there. So I think, this is me being a little picky, but I think I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut that at just a slight bit more angle where it goes up to this flange here. So it'll be about an inch lower, just like this one. And in the end, it'll actually help us make this go more straight down there. Right now, if I put a straight piece on, it's going to hit this, and I just need it to come down a little bit. So if I take this and I cut it down a little bit, which if you look right here, it's up a lot higher than the other side is, and you can tell from here, it's up about an inch higher. It's not a big deal. It'll probably work, but I think I'm going to take this down just ever so slightly, just lower it down just a little bit, and try to run it out the end. And I've got an idea to try to make like not necessarily bull horns, but a little curl back up so we don't get all the dust. And it's probably going to have something to do with this guy right here. So if I can make it work, it's going to be sweet. If not, it's not going to be sweet, but it'll still be sweet. So either way, we'll get there. in there. It looks pretty good too. I think it decent placement there. Can't really go back any farther, but I think it looks fine. And for all you purists out there that said, why would you drill a hole in a perfectly good fender? Well, that was all body filler, pretty much, besides the little thin piece of metal. If you look, all this is trash. There's rust holes. It's been patched. Somebody's way of patching it was put a piece of metal in there, and they actually have rivets in there, so that's not going nowhere. But we put it in there and drilled a hole. It's fine. It's a little close to the tire, only when turning though. Like driving straight, you can bottom the suspension out, it won't touch it at all. But when you turn, it might touch it if you hit a bump. So if you're only if you're full lock, but if you're only, you know, half turned or whatever, hit some bumps, you'll probably be fine. Driving down the road, it'll be fine. But turning through parking lots, it might touch ever so slightly. But I think once I get it on there, figured out, and I like the position of it, I might mark, hey, this is where the tire is going to hit, bring it out here, heat that piece of pipe up, and maybe put it in the vise or something, and crank it down and try to oval the pipe out a little bit. If we oval the pipe out, flatten it down, gives us an extra 1/2 inch. Also, the front suspension needs fixed up, and it needs new shocks up here, and the both sway bar bolts are pretty much gone. So once we put new sway bar bushings in here, it might pick the front of the car up a little bit, and I plan on raising the back of the car up another couple inches. So it's only going to get farther away. So I think it's going to work great the way it is. I got one side pretty well done. I just got to weld it up, but that's what it looks like. There's 2 to 3 inches easy of room right there. Probably smash it flat just a little bit. But other than that, I think it's about as close as we're going to get. We're plenty away from the brake lines. We're plenty away from everything on the fender. This side is going to be a little bit more on the tricky side because it's going to have to be pretty close to the fender. But we'll pull these wires up, and we could put them up here. Not a big deal. But basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put one of these straight pieces down there, cut it, and we cut some S pipes out of, I don't know, I guess they're kind of where they went over the axle. But I think this will be perfect. Basically, it'll be something just like the other side. It'll come straight down, and we'll might have to angle it a little bit, but that'll be hanging out the fender. One of these sides will be hanging out the fender, however we decide. Probably something like that, maybe. I don't know. But this will give us the same look as that side. We'll kind of make the hole probably so it matches that side. And then I plan on getting the factory trim to go back on here, but I want to get this kind of put where it's supposed to be. And maybe buy a little short piece of stainless, maybe take one off my single cab and put right here around that. It's not a big deal. I mean, if you're worried about it, don't be. I'm gonna put the probably factory trim back on it, and we're gonna let this thing ride. It's not gonna be in our face, so that's good, and it's not gonna stir up dust. So I know you guys are wondering, like, why is he worried about stirring up dust on this pile? But I'm more worried about it taking it somewhere else, pulling in a gravel parking lot and getting dust on everybody else's really, really nice units, and not this thing at all whatsoever. If it was just me and I wasn't going to take it in any shows or anything like that, I probably would have kept it out the hood, honestly, because if I wasn't going to take it to any shows and I wasn't going to do anything like that with it, I probably wouldn't drive it anyway. So we're trying to make it friendly for the public and other people. So I think it turned out way better. I cut this down. There's a time lapse of it. Cut that down a little shorter so it matches that side really good. I mean, I bet you we're within probably a 1/2 inch of height distance. I measured this distance from, like, I'd say where the hood could probably be shut, which is about here to here, is about 10 inches on each side. So my tape measuring skills are perfect, just so you know. So everything's going to be great. I do plan on putting the hood back on it. So he might say, why didn't I do stainless? Why didn't I do that? First of all, money. Second of all, it's a lot easier just to do this and cheaper, and you're not going to see it because the hood's going to be on top of it. And hell, I might take my freaking buffer and buff this part up shiny till it gets like right here. Once you put the hood on it, you'll never see it, so you'll never know anyways. And then it probably won't get, I mean, it's going to get driven probably get driven in the rain a little bit, get wet, and it'll probably rust, and it'll be all right. But it's fine. This is short term. We'll probably have to do different downpipes anyways in the future. This is just to finish out the year, so it's coming along.